Oh, hi guys and girls, Emma again, welcome back to the spare room. Quick little project this weekend. Wanted to make, now I've got a heat treat oven and a couple of decent lathe chucks and an engraver, etc, etc, etc. I wanted to make a set of heat treat colour buttons or temper colour buttons in metric rather than in Fahrenheit, so in Celsius rather than in Fahrenheit, because I sort of don't have a lot of idea. Looking at American videos on heat treating and books I have, everything's in Fahrenheit and my oven's in centigrade, and I need some sort of a reference place, I guess, to know exactly what, or well, to know on some level what I'm doing. The expectation when you buy a heat treat oven is that you automatically know all about heat treating, and I don't know anything at all really. I'm a rank beginner in this. It's a whole new field. I've got 5 little bits of tool steel here, and they're 4140. I've faced one side nice. What I'm going to do, because they need to be polished nicely, I'm going to face the other side and make them all the same length so they're all the same size. And then I'm going to bore the centres or drill the centres and ream the centres down to fit on an expanding mandrel, and then polish the outside. Then we can set them up and we can put some engraving on the sides so we know which one's which, and anneal them so that we've got a series, I think, of heat treat colours in a set that we can put in a little box and have as a reference. So that's this weekend's job, I think, or today's job anyway. It's about 43 degrees here most of the day. The fan going and the oven right in the window is still reading 32, and it's pushing 5 PM now. So I'm going to chuck these up in the new 3-jaw, machine them all until they're the same thickness. So take the thinnest one down till it cleans up, take a reading on the compound dial, and then take all the other ones down to the same. So let's get in and do that. Now I've got an expanding mandrel which just takes an Allen key in the front. Not really a particularly good system, but this one's 3/8 of an inch, which also made it not particularly useful so far, and I haven't used them really. They've been sitting here on the bench for 12 months or more since I bought them for a job and then decided they weren't really the thing to do. What I'm going to do is drill these 3/8, sit these on here and tighten them up, and use that to polish the outside. So that's the idea. So I've just chucked these in the little 3-jaw, which is pretty nice for this sort of work. I've found a nice new 3/8 drill, which is what I'm going to use to put these through here, I think. Way too fast. And repeat until they're done. We've got a little button that looks like that. So I'm down to the last one. I've put this tapered this expanding mandrel in a collet. And I've just machined all these nice and round on the outside down to the same measurement, so they should all be the same size, give or take a bit. Look the same, and I think they will be pretty close to the same size. And just a rub on here. Take the Sharpies off. And clean up on the outside. Move this out past the end of the mandrel, and that way we can machine, or we can polish right to the inside. And these haven't really taken very much. I've had a bit of 150 wet and dry, or abrasive tape, and taken these down to where they look fairly uniform, and then an abrasive sponge. And that hasn't quite cleaned up there that time, so I'm going to repeat with a fresh piece of paper and do the other side, and we'll have a look at them over on the bench. So here we are, we have 5 reasonably well polished buttons. You can see a reflection in all of them. I think they're all right. I think they'll do. I think they're about as good as I can get them tonight, actually. So I'm pretty pleased about that. Next job is to get the engraver out and to make a little tapered button out of brass to go in the top of this with a 1032 screw on the engraver table to hold them in place. That's the next job. And from there we can work out a template to engrave the numbers. Got a bit of a list of numbers. Mud map here, we're going for 230, 260, 275, 295 and 325. So we want to put those numbers on here, on each one. It doesn't matter much where they are as long as they're in the middle, because you can turn them to match. I'm going to get the engraver out and make up a little tapered bush to hold these down on the table, and cut a little piece of wet and dry paper to stop them moving, and we might have a look at engraving them. So this is about the last one, and I'm setting this up 325. It's a fairly steep learning curve, this machine, and I guess probably the heat treating oven will be very similar. I've made a step here, I don't know if you can see that, you probably can now, just a boss here out of brass with a screw through it and a tapered piece to hold that down, so they're all in the same position. And I've centered this nicely and got it so that it's right this way. The letters on the smallest setting with this set of letters are still too big for a job like this, so they're hanging, touching the edges nearly, pretty sort of big, but we'll have a look at that in a minute. A smaller set of letters would be great, and probably got the machinery now to do it. It's a matter of making a frame for there to machine, to mount them on, and going over these letters at half size would make a fairly impressive set of letters for a small work like this, but these are going to do for this time. We'll turn him on. And the more we go, this is a bit of a nuisance, this too. The more we go, the nicer they get. So let's unscrew that one. We'll unplug the engraver so that we don't do ourselves an injury or wreck a cutter or something like that. It's probably something that's imperative at this stage. But that's just a single lip cutter. A D-bit style cutter in tungsten carbide, and this is what we've got. So that one's not too shabby. Some of the early ones, that one's not too shabby either. That one will do the job. This one's, it's alright. And this one's, yeah, it's alright too. So we're going to live with them. I'm going to give them another polish, and we can have a bit of a look at heat treating them then. GoPro, stop recording. So for better or worse, we made these yesterday. We've got a 260, 230, 260, 275, 295 and 325. They're fairly neat and tidy. The numbers are a little bit big. The engraver still needs a little bit of work, which is why you haven't seen a dedicated video about it. There's still a little bit to do, but they're alright. Next job is heat treat it. I'm going to make a program here to hopefully, it's kind of a bit of a task, but I'm going to make a program to ramp up to 230 for half hour, and then ramp up to 260 for half hour, ramp up to 275 for half hour, ramp up to 295 for half hour, and then to 325. I would like to put an alarm in there too, just for to show you, see how it works and whether I can do it and what it does. But I'm not so sure about that. So at this point, I think I've only got nine points. However, so if we have a look, we want to start here, or go to 230, and we want to hold that for 25 minutes. Then go to 260 and hold that for 25 minutes. And 275 and hold that for 25 minutes. 295 and hold that for 25 minutes. And 325 and hold that one for 25 minutes. That's what we want to do, and we put these in the oven in the right order. We can take one out when it gets to, I think at this point we want an alarm, if we possibly can. So we've got one segment here, 2 segments, 3 segments, 4 segments, 5 segments, and this ramp segment's another one. So we've got 6, 7, 8. That uses all 9 segments. It's probably as good as we're going to get. So let's program this. I'm not going to do it on camera because it's going to take me about 10 goes, and I might be here for 2 hours actually. But this is what I want to do. We'll see what we can do. So I think that's pretty sort of stable there as far as camera goes. I hope we haven't got too much flicker. What I've done, we go to this menu, which is the program menu. First stop is 230 we're starting at for the first one for 25 minutes. The alarm's on in the second one at 230 for 1 minute. A1 alarm. Then we're 260 for 25 minutes. And the alarm's off for that one, and then we're on at 260 for a minute for the alarm. 275 is the next one. We're 25 minutes for 275. Alarm off again, or we've got an alarm going for 25 minutes I think. And then 275, one alarm for 1 minute. Then 295 for 25 minutes. And then 295 alarm for 1 minute. And then we're up to 325 for 25 minutes. And there we go. And we're back to where we started. So let's have a look in the oven. Might take these pins out. We've got a bit of refractory here. 4 screws that are going to be a problem, or 4 little oilers for the compound on the lathe, which is going to be a problem. A nice clean rag to polish these up, I think. And there's the first one's 230. $260, $275, $295, and the last one's $325. There we go. So we'll put these in the oven where we can reach them. Like so. Close the door. Shift some of the scrap paper from around here, because while we're learning the program that, it's got right out of hand. See what we can actually catch on fire. So we're getting through with 275. We've got one here at 230, which is a beautiful colour, and one here at 260. I think it could have soaked a little bit longer. But we're going to live with it, I think, as time goes on. I'm not sure I'm right or not, but as time goes on, probably it's going to take a little bit less time to come up to temperature. It's only going to come 15 degrees rather than 200 and rather than 30 for the next one. So I'm going to leave the program as it is, and we'll have a look when we've got them all sort of out. I've got this set to go beep, I hope, after 25 minutes, and I can pull the next one out and it'll automatically pip up to the next one, which is 295. So let's have a look and see how we go. So next one is the 295 one, and that's had, what we had, 25 minutes to soak. For some reason my alarm function isn't working. I'm going to work that out. We will get to the bottom of this, but there's a lot of parameters in there to mess around with, and I've probably messed around with too many of them, to be honest. So at this point we're just doing it with our mobile phone timer. Let's lift one out. The next one's 325. It hasn't started to lift there yet. We're still set at 295 because the door's been open. It's heated up and it's jumped up to that temperature inside, and it'll start to drop down again now. That's just part of the course, but we're starting to rise there now. So we're up to 305. We're heading towards 325. And there we are, we're at 325. It's a fraction higher, but it's going to drop down nicely to 325, and we're going to leave it there for another 25 minutes and lift him out, turn the oven off, and have a bit of a look at what we've done. So there we go, we've been about 25 minutes at 325. Let's lift this one out, which should be grey. And have a bit of a look. We'll turn that off and let it cool down slowly. And these are the buttons. We've got 230, which I guess we'd call straw, 260, which is a light purple, and then 275, which is a really pretty blue, 295, which is beautiful light blue, and 320 and 325, which is almost a grey. So that'll be quite useful. They need a box. I'm going to have a think about that. Whether I 3D print something, which I probably am reluctant to think is the answer. It seems a bit crap. Or whether I make something out of wood, or whether I make something out of aluminium. I'm really not sure, but we're going to call these done. We know the oven works. We know that it's holding reasonable temperature. We didn't expect for a minute it wasn't. And that's our first heat treat project. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, all that sort of stuff. Be kind to each other, and more soon, guys and girls. So I realised that video ended pretty unceremoniously, and I'm sorry about that. When I got through editing, I thought, well, that was a bit of an anticlimax. So anyway, here we are back at the bench. This is showing our colours here. Give you some sort of an idea, rather than just showing them on an old fire brick. These are really quite pretty. They're all engraved. I'm still thinking about a box. Not sure what I'm going to do with that, but I want some uses for these. And I thought, well, this video is going to bring up more questions than actually answers. So what can I use these for? Firstly, if we're hand tempering something, if you've got a blade or something like that, or anything really that you want to bring up to colour, and the book says it needs to be 325 degrees, or more likely in a watchmaking book or a model engineering book it says straw or purple, or it says silver or grey. We can look at these and we can say, yeah, that's about the colour we want. This probably somewhere between that and that, about 310 degrees, something like that. Would be great. Let's do it to that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if we're just heating something up with the oxy torch to bring back the temper in a tool, we can look at this and say, well, it's about that colour, so that's probably close enough to the temperature that we want. That's the idea of them. Apart from that, they look pretty, and it's nice to have indication of colours. There might be at some point parts for something that need to be these colours, just for aesthetic purposes, and it's nice to know exactly what colour or what temperature is going to give you that colour. So that's another good reason to have them. Mostly they've just been a learning experience, so thanks for bearing with me on that. Now, the other thing that we didn't answer, have a look at this oven. We look at this as being sitting here with the fan on for 3 or 4 hours. It's still 65 degrees, something like that. We've got a program here, and just to prove that I did get the alarm sounding, and it's just a parameter, and I fiddled and faddled too much like Woody Woodpecker. We turn the program on. I've got a program set here just to run the alarm. You can see that we have managed to get it working and working in the right place. So we had the wrong parameter set, and that's all it is, and the wrong type of alarm and the wrong alarm set. So we fixed that. So anyway, thanks for watching. More soon, guys and girls, and thanks for your patience.